too late?
Oh, actually, Instagram. I
Okay.
started Instagram, but it's not streaming.
Okay, wait. Is YouTube going right now?
Yes.
Stop.
We should be live.
Okay, but on both?
We should be live on both.
Okay, let's just find out. Well, hello, we're checking. As usual, we don't even know if we're live until we check. Okay.
Okay, there's sound coming from the computer.
Okay, good.
So the road is connected.
Okay.
For sure.
Okay.
The road is connected. Hi, everyone. Oh, we're still zoomed in, so no one is seeing us.
We're actually not on screen, and no
Okay.
one can see
Yes.
us, and
nothing.
nothing is happening. That's what's up.
Where's the remote?
Is your remote like plugged in?
Well,
Okay, you're definitely not live on Instagram. So stop the YouTube screen again, because we don't want to start the YouTube stream.
I'm not live.
It's not on here. Hang on. I'll try again. Okay, yes, you're right. It is now. Okay, you're good.
Are we?
Okay.
We are good?
Yeah.
Okay.
But you should stop the YouTube stream anyway and start it again. Otherwise, it has all this crap at the beginning, and I cannot edit the YouTube stream.
No.
So.
Oh, no.
And
okay, I think we are.
Okay.
Live.
Welcome.
And ready to go.
Let's go.
I just need... Oh, no, I need the special sound effects for... I'm going to try something this time. I'm going to try de-zoom in plus putting the theme.
Okay.
I have really high expectations, so...
All right.
So let's start this in 3, 2, 1.
Hi.
Hello. Hi everyone and welcome to the Tax Files.
Welcome
Hello,
in. Welcome in.
proficients.
Hi. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Welcome back for episode what? What do you think? 7?
I would call this episode like pi. So
Pi.
we don't have rational numbers here.
It's a good point, but it did occur to me that we really should think about numbering the episodes. So I'll count how many we've done, and it'll be that number. This one is +1, and then we'll have a whole list of episodes.
Maybe we could arrange them by theme.
Okay.
So this is like episode 3 to 1 little I.
This is interesting. I wonder if it would work. Oh, this is a great idea. If it's a different provision of the act each time.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a great idea. I actually love it. So what are we doing today? We're doing...
We are
doing?
talking about trust.
Trust. Okay.
Trust. So
Trust.
do we trust each other? Do you trust the ITA? Do you trust the CRA? No, we're talking about a trust, which is a person in the ITA.
Okay.
I believe it is a person. Is it an individual in the ITA?
A trust is not an individual, and it is not a person. It's neither one. It is a trust is an arrangement.
Yeah, but for the purpose of the ITA, isn't it a person?
It is not. It is never defined as a person. If ever, it is treated as an individual.
Yeah.
If it has to pay tax.
Yes, exactly.
That is, if it doesn't.
And so
it retains income.
It's deemed to be an individual.
An individual, but
and
yes,
taxable
but not a
under Part
person,
1.
not a corporation, not a partnership, a human person, individual.
An individual. Yeah.
So it means that there is a person who has to be responsible for the trust.
And the trust is, there is this weird thing about the trust is that it is both a flow-through, but could also be treated as not a flow-through,
That's
depending
right.
on whether you retain the income in the trust or not.
That's correct. If trust is a flow-through, if it makes its income payable or paid, and it is not a flow-through if it does not make its income payable to the beneficiaries.
And it could also be both a flow-through and not a flow-through, because we were talking about Part 1 tax, but there are other parts like Part 12.2, which I'm now an expert.
You're now an expert on 12.2?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, good. Okay, great.
Okay, so today what we're doing is it's a general case this time, and it's about a trust that is a non-resident trust, but deemed to be resident in Canada, and also deemed to be resident in Quebec. And we have this problem where Quebec will treat it as being a deemed resident, so taxable in Quebec, and Canada will also be treated as a deemed resident, but because it's a deemed resident, it cannot also be a factual resident of Quebec. And so it's both. So what's going to happen is that the trust is going to pay taxes in Quebec and going to pay taxes, federal taxes, but also the provincial surtax because it's not a resident of Quebec. So it's this Schrödinger trust that is both a resident and not a resident.
Okay, that seems impossible. I'm surprised this can happen.
Yeah, so it looks, I skimmed it and I know a bit about this case, and to me it looks like it's a conflict between federal legislation and provincial legislation.
Okay.
And that Parliament knew about this conflict but decided to never
not to do anything. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
So I think the solution might be remission order.
Oh.
And good luck.
Oh,
good
my
luck
goodness.
getting a remission order.
Yeah, that's going to be tough. You're going to get it from Quebec?
Or the federal. So you don't even know from who to get it.
Right.
Because I would assume Quebec is going to tell you, like, go to the federal, and the federal is going to be like, I'm the federal, so go to Quebec.
Okay, so just to be clear, just to make sure I understand.
Yeah.
The trust is deemed resident for Canadian purposes.
Yes.
For all purposes. It is deemed resident in Quebec for some purposes.
Yes.
And it is not deemed resident
in a province
in Quebec
for other purposes.
For other purposes. Yeah. And the result of the thing that says you're not a resident, or the aspect of the trust that says you're not a resident, the result of that is that you get taxed. You can't be a flow-through. You're going to get taxed at the level of the trust.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And so the remission order would have to be for the jurisdiction that is denying the residents and imposing the tax at the level of the trust, I would think, right?
I think it makes more sense if the remission order is for the provincial surtax, like the federal provincial surtax. I think this is the thing that makes the most sense.
Okay.
But the thing is, if you do a remission order for this part, then the federal government would technically agree that Quebec can tax the trust as a deemed resident. So I'm not sure they're going to want to do it.
Interesting.
And politically, Quebec is going to say, well, I'm taxing this trust, so I'm not doing a remission order. I don't want the federal government to give this part of the tax to other provinces.
Okay.
Because the provincial surtax under, there are like some memorandum of understanding or something like that between the provinces, and this provincial surtax is going to all the provinces with a certain percentage for each province.
Okay. Okay.
There's a calculation. It's a federal calculation.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have a tax court case, and the lawyer is Joanna Hill, Justice Joanna Hill, and the looks like how would you say this name? Chobham? Let's agree on how it's pronounced. Chobham?
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 Do you think
maybe
it's Chobham?
Chobham? I don't know.
I don't know. If it's English, it's Chobham.
Chobham? Okay, let's Google how to say.
let's ask Google how do you say this. Great idea. And then the other thing is that
apparently it's
Chobham.
Chobham.
No, I think that's Chobham.
There's a video how to pronounce that name.
Okay, I'm ready.
I'm really afraid it's like Cobham.
Right, we could be wrong completely. You have to. What did he say? Chobham. Like chop 'em.
Chop 'em.
Okay, and I will say that I can't monitor the Instagram. Maybe you want to put it on this screen?
Yeah,
there. Okay, good.
It's there.
Okay, great.
Okay, so
All right.
Chubham Corporation Limited, appellant and His Majesty the King, the
Beautiful.
respondent. Appeal heard on July the 3rd, 2025, so it's a year ago by the Honorable Justice Jonah Hill. I think it's the first time we're reading a case from Justice Hill.
Yes, I think so. That's right. Yeah.
So counsel for the appellant, we have Matthew G. Williams and Leonard Gilbert, and we have for the respondent for the Crown, Gabrielle Caro. Judgment. Further to the attached reasons, the appeals from assessments issued for the appellant's 2015, 2017, 2019, and 2020 taxation year are dismissed. The respondent is entitled to tariff costs under Schedule 2 of the Tax Court of Canada Rules General Procedure. Signed this 17th day of July 2026. This is really fresh. It's from July 17th.
Yeah, very fresh. This is like a couple days ago.
Yeah, my
Last
dream
week.
one day is doing a stream and the case came
Same
out
day.
this morning. That will be
Okay, we'll get
the
there.
freshest.
We'll get there.
But unfortunately, the last case that came out was about the Canada Pension Plan, and I was like, I'm not even looking at this.
No, that's yes. Let's not.
That's like worse than GST.
Yeah, that's no good.
Okay, so Chubham Corporation and His Majesty the King. Reasons for judgment. Overview. The appellant is a non-resident trust with a contributor who resides in Canada, specifically in the province of Quebec. Because of that resident contributor, the appellant filed federal and provincial income tax returns on the basis that it is deemed resident of Canada under the Income Tax Act and deemed resident of Quebec under the Quebec Taxation Act.
Okay.
The appellant's overall tax burden was higher than anticipated because the Minister of National Revenue imposed a federal surtax and denied the appellant's claim for an abatement for Quebec tax. The minister determined that the appellant did not have income earned in the province because it did not factually reside in Quebec on the last day of each taxation year, as required by subsection 26011 of the Income Tax Regulations. In its appeal from the resulting reassessments, the appellant argued that the requirement of Regulation 26011 were met because the Quebec Taxation Act deemed it to be resident in that province. The appellant stated that the federal surtax should not apply and that it is entitled to the Quebec abatement because it was liable to pay and did in fact pay tax in Quebec. We've got this interesting
So it's the abatement.
liability
Yeah, it's the abatement
and the
that's
surtax.
Yeah.
So basically, you get the surtax and you don't get the abatement. While
Right.
usually you should get tax in Quebec,
Yeah.
tax in federal,
Yeah.
and there's the abatement. So you should be taxed like 50% overall, and here you're going to be taxed like 75.
Yeah, exactly. Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
So like, come on, that's unfair. Come on. You cannot possibly tell me this is fair.
It's a tough one. Yeah, I will. Well, I'm going to reserve judgment until, like the judge, until I've read the whole, until I've read the whole
But just
thing.
from the outset, it's like,
Yeah.
that's unfair,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Cannot believe that's the outcome. And we already know that's the outcome because the appeal was dismissed.
Spoiler alert.
Well, I usually don't like knowing, like, okay. will
I do.
tell
I do
everyone-
like knowing. I do like
I will
knowing.
tell everyone, write the conclusion at the very beginning, but I must admit that it's fun not knowing. Like, it's a novel, and you're like, what's gonna happen?
Yeah. You do like not knowing what's going to happen?
Yeah. But I will
no, that's not
also,
me.
I will say, please write the conclusion at the beginning. It's a much better way to write a judgment.
Yeah. Well, once you've finished it, like
Yes, I mean,
once you've completed your analysis and written your opinion,
Then
then go
you
back,
go
to
back.
the beginning and tell me what the outcome was.
of course,
Spoil it
if
for
you're the
me.
court, like, don't decide the outcome and
Right.
then find the analysis.
We're not suggesting that at all.
No,
Right.
That's clearly not what.
That's
happened.
clearly not what we're saying.
No, no, no.
Right. Okay.
Well, not from the tax court, at least. The appellant's argument cannot succeed because it ignores the clear requirement of the federal legislation, as well as the
Okay.
scope of this court's jurisdiction.
Oh.
The text of Regulation 26011 contains specific criteria regarding factual residence that is consistent with the context and purpose of the enabling provision in the Income Tax Act.
Okay, so we're into a regulation. So maybe this is episode 26011.
The application of the federal surtax and entitlement to the Quebec abatement does not depend on whether the appellant was liable to pay tax in that province.
Okay.
Parliament enacted provisions framing the issue as whether an individual had income earned in a province, based in that on whether that individual factually resided in that province on the last day of the taxation.
Okay, so this is where we get factually, as opposed to deemed.
Yeah, deemed. Okay. So here it's like, it just reminds me of like de facto de jure. Like you're a de jure resident, but you're not a de facto resident.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
It seems like
something's
that's
going
where
on
we're
there.
going.
Okay. All right.
Okay, so the deemed residence provision in the Quebec Taxation Act cannot be used to satisfy the residency requirement in Regulation 26061 for two reasons. First, Parliament chose not to incorporate provincial standards in the regulation.
Okay.
Second, that deeming provision creates a legal fiction only for the purpose of the Quebec Taxation Act. The appellant continued to factually reside outside of Canada.
Okay.
Okay, so that's where I think it's a conflict.
Where are we actually residing or factually residing?
We are non-resident because we are deemed to be resident. But where?
Yeah. The reason I ask is because I'd be starting to think about whether there's a treaty involved.
Oh, it's Panama.
So no treaty. Okay.
No treaty.
Okay. Fine. Because I was thinking to myself, but actually this treaty wouldn't solve it.
Because
unless Quebec accepted.
No, because
I don't know why that popped in my mind, and that's a distraction. But it was like, well, if the treaty deems you to be, then you're not deemed or factual, you just are, right? If you are a resident under the Treaty of Panama, then you are a non-resident of Canada for all purposes.
Yes.
And if you're a resident of Canada under the treaty, then you're a resident for all purposes. Okay. So that's why I was thinking it might override this problem.
Yeah, maybe,
but I don't know.
Maybe it's only for jurisdictions where there is no treaty.
Yeah, so that's why when I was like, oh, okay, wait a minute, where are we? Why aren't we talking about a treaty? Why are we talking about the reg? Because we don't have a treaty, possibly. Okay, I'm with it. I'm caught up. Yeah.
Okay, so the federal government has been aware of the higher tax burden for individuals deemed resident in both Canada and Quebec since the 1980s.
Oh.
It chose to address the problem through a remission order that does not apply to the appellant. Oh.
Okay. Well,
so
now
there is a
speaking of
remission order.
Has been aware of the higher tax burden for individuals deemed resident in both Canada and Quebec since the 1980s. It chose to address the problem through a remission order that does not apply to the appellant.
How? What?
I don't know. How? I don't understand.
Can we get some more info on the
Yeah, I don't understand that. Maybe it's in one of the appendices.
Okay.
Is there an appendix?
I don't think there is.
Oh, okay.
This court does not have the power to broaden the scope of Regulation 26011 to alleviate the appellant's tax burden in this regard.
Okay.
Okay, I want to find the remission order
now. I
Is
understand.
it going to be there? Or do I have to open Sherman and try to find the remission order?
Let's see if it's going to be here.
Okay.
Let's look at the
background. The facts relating to the 4 taxation years at issue are not in dispute. But the following summary is taken for the parties' agreed statement of facts and joint book of documents. The appellant is a trust that is factually, de facto, resident in Panama.
Okay, and there's from the agreed statement of facts, okay?
Yeah. It did not carry on a business or have a permanent establishment in Canada.
Okay.
During the years at issue, it had foreign accrued property income and deemed interest income.
Okay.
So there's FAPI and deemed interest.
Yep.
Okay. A person who resided in Quebec contributed to the appellant. So the money is coming from a Quebecer.
Okay, so it's a Quebec resident who set up a trust in Panama.
Well, he contributed, so he might not be the settler.
Contributed to a trust. But if you contribute to a trust, you're a settler, are you not? You don't have to be the one that constituted the trust.
Yeah, not necessarily, I think.
Okay.
You just need to be a contributor.
Yeah. Okay.
And so, but, okay. Presumably, it's either I mean, if you got a lawyer in Canada, you presumably there's going to be a problem.
Exactly. I start to get my little yellow flag is going up. It's not a red flag yet, but it's like a little yellow flag. Like, wait a minute. Why
are you doing
So
this?
a Quebec resident is contributing money to a Panama trust, and then something is going to happen that's going to end up with tax.
Yeah. I mean, why are you paying tax if you're settling a trust in Panama?
Right. I'm not saying it's suspicious. I'm just saying that it's not straightforward. That's all I'm saying.
There was something going on, and let's figure out.
Let's find out.
Let's find out.
Okay.
The appellant filed federal trust income tax returns on the basis that it is a deemed resident of Canada for federal tax purposes.
Okay.
The appellant also filed Quebec trust income tax returns on the understanding that it is a deemed resident of Quebec for Quebec tax purposes. In filing its federal returns, the appellant claimed an abatement for Quebec tax.
Okay, so this is just the normal way that you have the provincial abatement to get, the individual gets an abatement for the federal portion of the Quebec to represent the Quebec tax.
That's like if you ever did your T1 at some point, and you tick that you're a resident in Quebec, you're gonna get the abatement.
Yeah.
And
for those who don't know, the way that Canada works, federal system,
and Quebec in particular.
And yes, in Quebec in particular. Well, the other provinces, most of the other provinces allow the federal government to collect the provincial income tax, and then the federal government will send the provincial income tax to the provinces. But Quebec has its own tax system, and it wants to collect its own. So the Fed imposes its normal rate, but then gives you an abatement if you live in Quebec. And so you have a separate tax return. You have to do a second tax return.
Yeah, so basically the federal government is telling Quebec, like, you can use this portion as your provincial tax. And if ever you get higher, then we're not going to, like...
That's your business.
Like, we're not going to abate it, so just your residents are going to pay higher tax.
Yeah. Just like the room. It's the room for the province to tax, and they can tax up to that, but anything above that is going to be double taxed.
Exactly, and there is some portion of double tax in Quebec just because it's higher than the other provinces.
Yeah.
But we get more services, presumably, like more
that's
public
the
transit.
idea. That's the idea. Yeah.
That's the deal.
And free concerts. I understand that Weird Al Yankovic is going to be playing in Montreal. I think tomorrow night is what I saw.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Did you? Oh. He was here like a few years ago, and I went and saw him down in Place des Arts.
Yeah.
Amazing. So fun. What a fun show. But yeah, that's what your taxes pay for. They pay for not just schools and roads, but in Quebec, they also pay for some arts and culture, which is why we love it here.
Yeah. It's cool.
That's
we
right.
get movies and orchestras.
That's
and
right.
Festivals and everything.
Yeah.
Okay, so...
In any event... That doesn't make people want to pay the tax. I will say, even though that you get great whatever, that doesn't make people like, yeah, I want to pay tax here. No.
It's like, I'm coming here because I want to pay more tax.
Yeah.
Like, no one ever.
Says no one ever, yeah. Okay.
Okay, so the minister reassessed the appellant to deny the appellant's claim for the Quebec abatement and to assess a federal surtax. The minister concluded that the appellant's income was not taxable in the province. Further to the criteria in subsection 26011 of the income tax regulations. The appellant's position on appeal is that the Quebec Taxation Act deems it to be a resident in Quebec and that determination should inform the application of the federal regulation.
Okay.
The appellant argues that the federal surtax should not apply and that it is entitled to the Quebec abatement because it was in fact taxed in that province. The respondent argues that the reassessments are correct because the Income Tax Act only deems the appellant to be a resident in Canada, not in a particular province. The federal surtax applies and the Quebec abatement is not available because the appellant was not factually resident in that province. The respondent maintains that the deeming provision under the Quebec Taxation Act does not affect the interpretation and application of the Income Tax Act and regulations.
Okay.
It's like a constitutional question.
Yeah.
As outlined below, I agree with the respondent's position. Despite the unfair result, I knew it was unfair. The tax court agrees.
Yeah. Despite
the minister's reassessments are correct because the relevant provisions of the Income Tax Act and regulations were properly applied.
Okay, well, I don't know if it's unfair or not. I'm not sure if it's unfair or not, so I'm not sure I would say that just yet. Well, what's unfair about it?
I mean, so far it seems unfair just because you get to pay Quebec tax without and the surtax.
Yeah.
So you're
getting
the
double federal and provincial.
It's like you're getting like double provincial tax in a sense because you're paying the provincial tax, and because you're not resident of that province, you're also paying the surtax, which usually is for taxpayers who don't pay provincial tax.
Okay.
So I think
I can see why the word unfair is being used. I just object to the use of the word unfair without a definition of what it means. What does fairness mean? Because it seems to me that when you say things like unfair, just the same way as when you say things like striking or startling, then appeals courts tend to grab onto that and say, well, there's like a hidden policy problem here that the court didn't deal with. That's all. That's
I
all.
think I don't know if we're going to get there, but if we're talking about policy, I think the policy behind the surtax is to like make sure that if you're not resident in the province, that you don't pay less tax than a resident in the province. So that's the policy. But I'm not sure the policy is we don't want the surtax to be a double tax.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I hesitate.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, so let's see what happens.
Because obviously, if Parliament knew since the 80s that this could happen, then they decided not to act upon it. And so there might be a reason.
Right, there might be a reason that it's not, quote unquote, unfair. I don't
maybe,
know.
Maybe the policy is we don't want provinces to start like taking little bits of federal tax on their own domain and be able to tax more than they should. I don't know. I'm just speculating.
Just speculating.
But it might be constitutional and political.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, so the legislative frameworks. One of the underlying issues in this appeal is whether provisions of the Income Tax Act and regulations can be reconciled with the Quebec Taxation Act.
Okay.
The appellant's argument is based on the similarity between the federal and provincial statutes. The federal legislative framework. Pursuant to subsection 104.2 of the Income Tax Act, the appellant is deemed to be an individual for tax purposes in respect of the trust property. So the trust is an individual.
Individual, yeah.
Pursuant to paragraph 94.3a.
Yeah, okay, just to be pedantic. The appellant is deemed to be an individual for tax purposes in respect of the trust property. It is not itself deemed to be an individual. Like there's a very subtle technical Yes. It's deemed to be an individual in respect of the trust property and not for any other purpose. Okay, just to be clear. Okay.
Yeah. Or what I would say, just so you don't get confused when you're talking about trust, you say the trust is deemed to be an individual for 104.2.
Yes.
For subsection 104.2.
That's it.
And so if you don't remember what 104.2 is, just go back and you're going to see why.
Yeah.
In what circumstances it is an individual. But I made the mistake at the beginning of saying, for the purpose of the ITA, the trust is an individual.
Right.
Which is not true.
Not quite. Not all the way.
I retract what I said. It's not true. And
but okay. But also you need to cue up the applause because
I'm not really
Justice Hill has correctly
She knows
Yes.
how to name provisions.
She's amazing. She's great. Thank you, Justice
Thank you.
Hill. We appreciate it. We applaud it, and
it's
we
so
admire
much
it.
Easier. It's so much easier to read
It's so much more elegant. Yes. Yeah.
And also just because if someone reads it to me,
Yes.
paragraph 94.3a, in my head, I know it's 94.
Exactly. And A. Exactly.
If you're telling me section 94.3a,
I don't. Yeah.
it's like, is it like 94 and triple
3
A?
and then A. I don't know where it goes where exactly.
I don't know.
Yeah. So thank you, Justice Hill.
But thank you. Thanks
We
a
are
lot.
very appreciative. Yes.
We are. Okay, so the appellant was also deemed to be a resident in Canada for various purposes, including computing its taxable income, because it had a Canadian resident contributor during the taxation year at issue. So let's read 94.3.
Great.
If at a specified time...
Tu peux le lire en français, mais non.
Ouais. Allons-y en français. 94.3. Les règles ci-après s'appliquent à l'égard d'une fiducie qui, à un moment déterminé de son année d'imposition donnée, compte un contribuant résident ou un bénéficiaire résident n'est pas une fiducie étrangère exempte et est, compte tenu du présent paragraphe, un non-résident A. La fiducie est réputée résider au Canada tout au long de l'année donnée en vue, 2 petits i, de calculer son revenu pour l'année donnée.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
for the purpose of computing income, you're a resident.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yep.
The definition of resident contributor is grounded in whether a particular individual resides in Canada.
Okay.
94.1. Les définitions qui suivent s'appliquent au présent article et à l'article 94.2. Contribuant résident. S'entend relativement à une fiducie à un moment donné de la personne qui, à ce moment, est à la fois un résident du Canada et un contribuant de la fiducie, à l'exclusion si la fiducie a été établie avant 1960 par une personne qui était un non-résident au moment de l'établissement de la fiducie, du particulier, sauf une fiducie, qui n'a pas fait d'apport à la fiducie après 1959.
Okay, and I also just want to give another applause to Justice Hill for putting the two side by side. They don't always do it. Thank you, Justice Hill. We do appreciate that as well.
It's rare that we see it.
I know it is too rare because we should see it all the time, and this is exemplary. So thank you.
And as Justice, okay, I cannot. There's this quote by a judge, and I think it's Justice Bastarache.
Okay.
That was quoted in a judgment from the Supreme Court, I think, by Justice Lebel.
Okay.
It might be the other way around.
Okay.
I think it's the way I just said it, but it might be the other way around.
Okay.
And so the quote is basically, if you're a Canadian...
Switch to so the people can see you when you read it. Yeah.
Basically, if you're a Canadian and you read the law, you have to read it in both languages.
Yes, right. Because it's two official languages.
And if you don't do this, it's at your own risk.
Yeah, yeah.
Because you might read it in a language where it's clear.
Yeah. And then
the other language is like, oh, it's not that clear.
Exactly. And we've experienced this multiple times.
At the Supreme Court,
everywhere. Exactly.
Sometimes they are just mistakes.
Yeah.
And you read one version and you're like, huh, that's weird.
Exactly.
And if you don't have the other version right away, you're like, you're thinking about this, blah, blah, blah. But if you have it side by side, you're just going to read the other version.
Yeah.
You're like,
oh, exactly. So I really appreciate seeing it in the case like this, side by side like this. That's just, to me, makes sense. That's correct.
The problem with the ITA is that you got to get 2 books on your desk.
Yeah.
And now it's 2 volumes.
Yeah,
so it's
2
4
volumes.
books.
But you're really carrying around a lot of weight. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And same thing about tax treaties. Always read it in all official languages.
All the languages, yeah.
Well, you might not understand the others, but they're going to be useful if there is some ambiguity that is created by like the Spanish or the Japanese version. Or
exactly.
Well, of course, if you cannot read these other languages.
Yeah, I mean, it's not going to help you, but...
Yeah. But find someone who can. Mm-hmm. Or ask the AI, I don't know.
It's dangerous, but...
It's dangerous, but for translation, I mean, it's legal terms, so it's still very dangerous. Be very careful.
Be careful, yeah.
It's better than just nothing, but be careful. Okay, so the federal surtax and Quebec abatement provisions both turn on whether an individual earned income in a particular province. The federal surtax is found in subsection 121 of the Income Tax Act. This provision imposes a surtax on income not earned in a province and approximates the amount of provincial tax that would otherwise be payable. 121 est ajouté à l'impôt qu'un particulier est par ailleurs tenu de payer en vertu de la présente partie pour l'année d'imposition, la somme qui est par rapport à 48% de cet impôt, ce que A, son revenu pour l'année autre qu'un revenu gagné dans une province pour l'année, est par rapport à son revenu pour l'année. This is a very old wording. Okay, let's read it in English because I'm not actually sure I understood the calculation.
So, first of all, what is 120? What is section 120? Just a surtax?
It's the surtax. Yeah.
Okay.
So, there shall be added to the tax otherwise payable under this part, so part 1, by an individual for a taxation year, the amount that bears the same relation to 48% of the tax otherwise payable under this part by the individual for the year that the individual's income for the year other than the individual's income earned in the year in the province, so whatever you didn't pay in the province, bears 2, so I guess divided
it's a ratio.
By, it's a ratio, the income.
Yeah.
So it's 48% times whatever you did not earn in the province.
I'm sure that somebody who's good at math can figure that out for us.
So
yes.
the tax is 40% of what?
No.
No, the
It's
tax
talking
is
about a
not.
ratio. So
of the tax.
the ratio of 48% to X is to the individual's income for the year is to...
Okay, let's do a simple
So
math.
48 to X is as Quebec tax to federal. So whatever the ratio is, so if your Quebec tax to your federal tax is is a ratio of 1 to 10, let's say,
Yeah.
then you have to do like the same ratio of 48% to 10, so 4.8%.
And multiplied by Part 1 tax.
Exactly.
So it's 48% of your Part 1 tax where you don't pay tax in the province.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's 48% times Part 1 tax times the ratio.
I think that's it.
Yeah, that's it. Okay.
Anyway, it's not 48%. It's probably
It's 48% of the tax.
Yes.
So it's
Of the portion that is your provincial tax.
So let's say you didn't pay tax in the province and you pay 100K in taxes, you're going to pay 48K in 100K in taxes, like federal taxes. So it's 48K in surtax. So you're going to pay 148K in taxes.
I would have to look at the board and do the math because it's telling me that it's a ratio and it's
Yeah, but I
same
circumvented the ratio because I'm telling you
Okay,
that
I believe you.
all is not in the province.
I believe you, but I can't confirm it because I cannot do that kind of math without a piece of paper and a pen. And
Well, that's quite a bad example anyway because I'm like, it's a ratio. Let's forget the ratio.
Right, you said forget the ratio, and then I was like,
just calculate the tax without the ratio because we don't earn income in the province. We are distrust.
Well, so if the ratio was 48 to 1, then your calculation would be correct.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. If you're an accountant and you know how to calculate this, drop in an Excel sheet down below.
Give us the Excel sheet. We need it.
I'm pretty sure Claude could like write an
without
HTML
a doubt
program how to calculate
without a doubt.
Tax. Okay, so the Quebec abatement is found in subsection 122 of the Income Tax Act and sections 26 and 27 of the Federal Provincial Fiscal Arrangements Act.
Okay, now there's an act I've never read. Okay.
Subsection 122 provides a refundable credit against federal tax that is supplemented by additional credits under the Federal Provincial Fiscal Arrangements Act.
Okay.
Eligibility depends on individual income earned in the province.
Okay.
122. Chaque particulier est réputé avoir payé, selon les modalités et aux dates réglementaires, au titre de son impôt pour une année d'imposition payable en vertu de la présente partie, une somme qui est par rapport à 3% de l'impôt qu'il est par ailleurs tenu de payer pour l'année en vertu de la présente partie, ce que A, son revenu gagné au cours de l'année dans une province qui, le 1er janvier 1973, était une province accordant les allocations scolaires au sens de la loi sur les allocations aux jeunes, chapitre Y1 des statuts révisés du Canada de 1970, est par rapport à son revenu pour l'année. What? Why are we back in 1970 and talking about Youth Allowances Act? I did not expect 122 to say what it says, but let's read it in English because it's so weird. Okay, so each individual is deemed to have paid in prescribed manner in a prescribed dates on account of the individual's tax under this part for a taxation year, an amount that bears the same relation to
it's another ratio.
Same relation to 3% of the tax otherwise payable under this part by the individual for that year, that A, the individual's income earned in the year in the province that, on January 1st, 1973, was a province providing schooling allowances within the meaning of the Youth Allowances Act, Chapter Y1 of the Revised Statutes of Canada 1970, bears to the individual's income for the year.
Okay, so it's another ratio.
Okay, but are there any provinces that did not provide schooling allowances in 1973, and that is it just Quebec? Is it?
But what is the schooling? I don't even understand the relevance of this, but I think there's a whole story here.
Okay, if you know, please comment down below. I'm really curious now.
I am curious too. I have no clue. Yeah.
But there's this.
Strange. Yeah, it's like a very bespoke little.
Yeah, it's like a weird political thing that, if you had allowances in 1973.
So I mean, I honestly have no idea what this is, but it looks like there's is this an abatement? No, this is a surtax.
This is the abatement.
This is
the
the
Quebec
abatement.
abatement. Okay, is it the thing that the government was like, I don't want to say it's a Quebec abatement, so it's the province that respect that weird provision, and the only province was Quebec? Is that it?
Oh, is that what's going on here?
Is that it? Okay, I'm just
I don't know.
speculating
I've
right now.
never read this
I'm very curious.
Fiscal Arrangements Act, but it sounds like something I should read.
And I had no idea about this allowances thing.
No, this is all new to me.
Okay, I'm super curious. I want to read Sherman right now. I'm like, is he talking about this? I want to read the beige book. I want to read
you can,
technical
but
minister
after we
finance
read the
thing.
Okay, we'll come back to it.
Okay.
We'll come back to it.
I don't know why, but
It's not a bad idea. I mean, I don't know this Fiscal Arrangements Act. I've never read it, so we could go back and see, is this how you write a regulation that looks like it's general but only applied to one province?
maybe
A province
is it like?
providing schooling allowances.
I'm really feeling it's like we don't want to say
Revised statutes
Quebec.
of Canada.
It's
I wonder.
Quebec.
Very strange. Very strange.
Very strange.
All right.
I don't know, 1970s.
So, but anyway,
were a
that's our
strange time.
abatement.
Okay, so pursuant to subsection 124, income earned in the year in the province means amounts determined under section 2601 of the income tax regulations. Since the appellant did not carry on business or have a permanent establishment in Canada, it attempted to rely on regulation 26011. The first criterion is that an individual must reside in a particular province. Si un particulier réside dans une province le dernier jour de l'année d'imposition et n'a tiré aucun revenu pour l'année d'une entreprise ayant un établissement stable à l'extérieur de la province, son revenu gagné pendant l'année dans la province correspond à son revenu pour l'année. So that's the thing where it's wherever you reside on the last day of the year.
On the last day of the year, and you have yep.
And so that's why if ever you're doing like a wealth tax, this cannot be the criteria.
Yeah, exactly, because we would just kick off on December 30.
I'm living in Alberta on December 21st.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm moving back on January 1st.
Yeah.
So I can get all the culture and the free...
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay, so the Quebec Taxation Act. The appellant relied on provisions of the Quebec Taxation Act that contain similar language to paragraph 94.3a of the Income Tax Act. If a trust has a resident contributor, then subsection 595A of the Taxation Act deems the trust to be resident in Canada for various purposes, including computing income generally and with respect to specific provisions in the provincial statute. Both section 593 and subsection 595A refer to Canada rather than the province of Quebec.
Okay.
Okay, let's read this in French.
Okay,
It's
why not?
les lois québécoises en français. Dans le présent chapitre, le chapitre 6.2, l'expression contribuant résident d'une fiducie à un moment quelconque désigne une personne qui, à ce moment, réside au Canada et est un contribuant de la fiducie, mais ne comprend pas si la fiducie a été créée avant le 1er janvier 1960 par une personne qui ne résidait alors pas au Canada, un particulier autre qu'une fiducie qui n'a pas fait d'apport à la fiducie après le 31 décembre 1959. I mean, you better not contribute like $1 more.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lorsque, en l'absence du présent article, la fiducie ne résiderait pas au Canada à un moment déterminé d'une année d'imposition donnée et qu'à ce moment, la fiducie compte un contribuant résident ou un bénéficiaire résident, les règles suivantes s'appliquent, sauf si la fiducie est une fiducie étrangère exempte à ce moment. A. La fiducie est réputée tout au long de l'année d'imposition donnée résidée au Canada aux fins de calculer son revenu pour l'année donnée.
Computing the trust income for the particular year. Okay.
And subsection 595F of the Taxation Act outlines when a trust will be deemed resident in Quebec. Si la fiducie compte à ce moment soit un contribuant résident qui est un contribuable assujetti à l'égard de la fiducie, soit un bénéficiaire résident qui est un contribuable assujetti à l'égard de la fiducie, si un contribuant rattaché de la fiducie à ce moment est un contribuable assujetti à l'égard de la fiducie à ce moment, la fiducie est, aux fins d'appliquer le livre 2.
Livre 2, what is book 2?
Book
This
two.
is the
De Québec. Et d'établir son assujettissement d'impôt en vertu de la présente partie réputée résider au Québec le dernier jour de l'année donnée et, dans le cas où la fiducie est, à l'égard de l'année donnée, Une fiducie déterminée ou une fiducie qui ne remplit pas la condition prévue au paragraphe A de la définition de l'expression fiducie déterminée, prévue au premier alinéa de l'article 593, son revenu pour l'année donnée est réputé égal à la partie de ce revenu, déterminé par ailleurs, que l'on peut raisonnablement considérer comme étant attribuable à des biens qui ont fait l'objet d'un apport à la fiducie, au plus tard à ce moment, par un contribuable qui est, à ce moment, soit un contribuant résident de la fiducie, un contribuable assujetti à l'égard de la fiducie, soit, si la fiducie compte, à ce moment, un bénéficiaire résident qui est un contribuable assujetti à l'égard de celle-ci, un contribuant rattaché de la fiducie, un contribuant assujetti à l'égard de la fiducie.
Wow, okay.
Woo!
There's a lot going on there.
Big words.
Yeah.
Well, they're not big, they're just like always the same.
Resident beneficiary and tax liable, taxable
à ce moment,
taxpayer.
au moment donné.
Yeah.
Mais à ce moment, est-ce que c'est le moment donné?
This contribuable assujetti, this tax liable or taxable taxpayer.
Taxpayers that is tax liable.
Yeah, so in English, the tax liable taxpayer.
Yeah.
Meaning not non-profit? Is that what they mean?
It means that you are liable under Part 1.
Okay.
So if you are like an exempt trust, you're not.
Okay.
If you're like a non-profit that doesn't have income, you're not. And there's a bunch of things.
And then you have this connected contribuant rattaché. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay, so residents in Quebec, on the last day of a taxation year, triggers the liability to be taxed in that province, pursuant to Section 22 of the Taxation Act.
Okay.
Toute personne qui est un particulier résident au Québec le dernier jour de l'imposition ou qui est une société ayant un établissement au Québec à un moment quelconque de l'imposition doit payer un impôt sur son revenu pour cette année d'imposition. That's a fun provision. It's like, hey, if you're a resident in Quebec, you have to pay tax.
Yeah.
L'impôt à payer en vertu de l'article 750 par un particulier visé au premier alinéa qui exerce une entreprise hors du Québec au Canada est égal à la partie de l'impôt qui serait établie en vertu de cet article si on ne tenait pas compte du présent alinéa, représenté par la proportion qui existe entre son revenu gagné au Québec et son revenu gagné au Québec et ailleurs, tel qu'établi par les règlements.
Yeah, so this is saying if you're resident in Quebec on the last day, you're obligated to file tax in Quebec, but you still only the proportion of the income that's attributable to that.
And the rest would go to the surtax.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay. It's a good way, I think.
I don't hate it.
Formula.
It's formulary apportionment.
It's formulary.
That's what it is.
It works in Canada.
It works, yeah.
Why wouldn't it work?
Because you need the entire world to agree to it. That's all. It would work.
But presumably you could get part of the world to agree to it.
I know, why not?
Why not try
Coalition of the willing. Why not try a coalition of the willing? I don't know. I
mean, just like put all the middle powers together, like
put them
Carney
all
said,
together,
and,
yeah.
Do a formula.
That's it.
And tell the rest of the world, here's the formula.
This is the formula. Do you want in? No? Then transfer price.
Yeah, transfer price, your own thing. And
we should just do it. You're right.
The taxpayers are going to be like, I don't want a transfer price if the rest of the world accept your formula. Yeah. And eventually,
so
the country that doesn't want that is going to do the formula.
This is such a great idea. Why don't we just do it? We should just do it.
Because consensus.
Yeah, I know. Exactly. It's unfortunate.
Yeah, we need to stop that.
We need Europe. If we could get Europe and Canada in a formula apportionment union, right? Like instead of a trade union or a what do you call this currency union, we'll do a formulary apportionment union.
It's like, you know what? Between us, we're going to do this formula.
Yeah.
Like, taxpayers are going to be so happy.
Life is going to be so much easier, yeah. Maybe.
So that's my solution.
They're not going to be happy. They're not going to be happy because they're going to have to pay tax. And under transfer pricing, they don't have to pay tax because they just wave a magic wand. And
I think it's harder and harder to just wave the magic wand.
Maybe.
And I think right now the compliance cost is so high.
They're skyrocketing, yeah.
For countries with high taxation, like Canada, Europe, Australia, Japan, New Zealand.
So the lesson here is the world has heard it here first. Yeah. We have invented the solution. We have the solution. The solution is a union, a formulary apportionment union. That's it.
That's it.
Okay.
And we're not going to get the U.S. to agree to this.
No.
But we don't care because we don't need them to do it between us.
Right. They can still do transfer pricing. That's fine.
I think we should send a letter to Mark Carney. This is our plan. Just please do this.
Please just do it.
We talked about this on the podcast, and it's tremendous.
It's tremendous. All right. Analysis. Here we go. Let's go. Let's go.
Let's start let's stop going sideways.
Sideways and around the block, and that's what we do here on the Tax Files. And that is,
Oops.
yes, your table is not even. We'll fix it. We'll fix it. I don't know. There you go. There you go.
Yeah.
That's what we do on the Tax Files. We meander and we think and we discuss.
No, not again.
While we read. We don't just read. We think and talk and discuss.
And go sideways.
And
but
go
it's always
sideways.
about tax or
It's always
trains.
about tax or trade. True. True. It is true. It's always about tax or trades.
Okay.
All right.
Let's go back to the analysis.
Okay, fine.
The appellant argues that it met the provincial residency requirement in Regulation 26011 because of Section 595F of the Quebec Taxation Act deems it resident in Quebec. The appellant accepts that paragraph 94.3a of the Income Tax Act does not apply because it only deems the appellant to be resident in Canada. The appellant also does not argue that the factual residence of its resident contributor can be used to satisfy the requirement of Regulation 2601. Indeed, these positions would extend paragraph 94.3a beyond its indented scope. However, the appellant's reliance on the Quebec deeming provision also improperly extends the intended scope of the federal provisions, subsection 595F of the Quebec Taxation Act, and this court's jurisdiction. Absent clear wording in Regulation 26061, this court does not have the power to incorporate a provision of the Quebec Taxation Act to satisfy the requirement under the Federal Income Tax Act. The appellant's position ignores the text, context, and purpose of Regulation 26011 and its enabling provisions. Wow.
Okay.
That's a good summary.
That's very nice.
I really like how it's presented.
I do too. Yeah.
Okay, A. Are we getting like a proper table of content here?
I think we are.
Is that what's happening?
Is this what's happening?
Is Justice Hill like the
I love her.
perfect writer?
Yeah. So far, so good.
So far she is. So far, like, there was nothing that is
Yeah.
not
It's really well structured.
like
really
it's
well
perfectly
structured.
structured. Naming provision is good. Bilingual presentation.
Yeah. No complaints.
No complaints. Just like applause.
Applause. Exactly.
Okay, so A, residence must be determined within the confines of the federal legislative framework.
Okay.
I like this. This
I'm
title.
understanding. Yes.
It's perfect.
I love it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The primary issue in this appeal is the proper interpretation of Regulation 26011. As outlined by the Supreme Court of Canada, regulations must be interpreted using a modified version of the modern approach to statutory interpretation. According to Bristol-Myers Squibb and Georgeson Shareholder Communication.
Okay. A
Specifically-
modified version for
Oh, yeah.
regulations. Okay.
So regulations must be read in the context of and with regard to the language of the relevant enabling provisions.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
The appellant's interpretation is not consistent with this approach, especially bearing in mind the following principles recently summarized by the Federal Court of Appeal. The text is the anchor of the interpretive exercise.
Right.
Where the language is clear and unambiguous and unaffected by context and purpose, it must be given its effect.
Okay.
Unaffected by context and purpose, meaning you have to go to context and
Yes.
purpose.
You need to consider context and purpose to figure out if it is
If
or
it
is not
fits-
affected.
yeah.
Yeah.
Purpose cannot be used to create an unexpressed exception to clear language.
Yeah.
The appellant's position improperly changes the
Whoa.
text, context, and purpose
Wow.
to achieve a specific result in this case.
And then look at this. Sub 1, the text.
Next. It's going to be the context and the purpose?
Whoa.
No way.
This is really nice.
Is she going to do this?
I'm enjoying this case.
Yeah. I want a table of content just to see how
I know.
clear
It
is.
feels like it's totally well structured. I
And
love
also
it.
it feels, look at like
I know.
indenting.
I know.
It feels like,
Really
it
thoughtful.
was-
Really thoughtful.
you know, this the outline in Word.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure she used the outline
There you
in
go.
Word.
Yeah.
It looks like, just because it's
just
properly
beautifully.
intended.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so there is
Okay.
no ambiguity in the residency requirement in Regulation 26011. The first criterion is whether an individual resides in a particular province on the last day of the taxation year.
Yep.
If an individual resides in a particular province on the last day of a taxation year and has no income for the taxation year from a business with a permanent establishment outside the province, the individual's income earned in the taxation year in the particular province is the individual's income for the taxation year.
Yep.
The use of the word resides refers to established principles of residency under the Income Tax Act. While taxpayers may be deemed resident in Canada under various provisions, such as paragraph 94.3a, those provisions do not apply for the purpose of Regulation 26011 because they do not refer to any particular province.
Okay.
Regulation 26011 applies if the individual is factually resident in a province on December 31st of a particular taxation year. Factual residence is determined under common law tests. Where a corporation or trust is factually resident is determined by the Central Management and Control Test.
A+.
A+. Yeah. It's so clear.
It's so clear. Yeah. A+.
And there's a footnote, and guess what? It's what?
Footnote 16.
It's Vern Krishna.
Oh. Okay. B+.
Sorry.
I mean, I guess because it's a summary, I don't.
Okay, I was trusting
it is clear.
too much.
Yeah,
maybe.
I know, but it is clear. It is. I will say for this basic thing, like I personally would not use a secondary source because you could just use the primary source.
It's just that
personally, I would use the primary sources, like factually resident determined by central management. You could easily cite fundee settlement for a trust and any of the. Yeah. Any of them. You could use the BackX case, for example.
I was expecting so much to see
I know.
fundee settlement.
I know.
I went to the footnote.
Looking for fundee settlement, but...
it's what?
Yeah, I know. Okay, still, the writing is still clear.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
It's it's fine. It's fine to cite Vern Krishna.
Yeah, it's not fine to cite. Sorry, it's not fine, but it's acceptable in light of... what else we're
acceptable
seeing.
is not enough. So
it's not wrong. Okay, let's put it that way.
Okay.
It's not wrong.
It's not wrong. Yeah,
just,
I like that.
I personally would have preferred the primary source, but that's just who I am. Yeah,
that's not wrong.
Yeah.
In some instances, the application of the common law test can produce different results or conflict with a deemed residence provision. In Gardner, the Federal Court of Appeal held that although a taxpayer may be deemed resident in Canada for the purpose of paragraph 251C of the Income Tax Act, that does not prevent the taxpayer from being found in fact to be or not to be an ordinary resident of a province.
Yeah, that makes sense.
In the present case, the parties agree that the appellant was factually resident in Panama. The appellant has attempted to overcome this hurdle by relying on the deemed residence provision in the Quebec Taxation Act. In doing so, the appellant has effectively added words and terms to the text of Regulation 26011.
Okay.
Contrary to the appellant's assertions, the provision does not refer to whether an individual resides in a particular province for tax purposes. The text also does not refer to the denominations of the provincial law, either directly or indirectly. By way of contrast, the respondent highlights various provisions in the Income Tax Act that either implicitly or explicitly incorporate provincial laws. For example, subparagraph 8114, little i's.
Is that a subparagraph or a clause?
That's a subparagraph. Clause would be one
sure
more.
Enough, yeah.
That's a bit.
That's a funny.
That's a funny one because it's 88 1 I 4 O.
I am not understanding. I mean, it is.
Oh, it's not one little I. It's I. Okay.
There it is.
This is an instance. Okay, listen to me, okay? A subparagraph is a little I. A paragraph is a letter. So if a paragraph is an I, it's not a little I. It's just a normal I.
Right.
So in this case, it's subparagraph 8, 1, I, 4 little I's.
That's it.
A little I and an I is not the same thing. Okay?
Correct. Correct. And it's always back to this. This is how we figured it out. We were like, wait a minute, what? If you're little, so that's where this is potentially confusing because this subparagraph is a little I.
Yeah.
And this is an A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I.
I, but not little.
But not little I.
It's
right.
You don't see anything. The letter is just the letter. It's not like little a. It's just
But
A. So it's just I.
It's where I gets confusing. It does get confusing.
It's really funny because
it's correctly
written. At least it's 4 little I's.
Yeah,
because there is the provision
of I,
8, 1,
yes.
I, 1 little I.
Yes.
Which
right.
is subparagraph
Yeah.
8, 1, I, 1 little I.
Notice that this is affirmation that by Justice Hill using the term subparagraph, we knew where we were.
Yes.
Yay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Because if she had used the word paragraph, it would have been like,
what? Exactly. Okay.
So that's why you want the correct naming
That's it.
of the provision.
Once again, we cannot say it enough.
Okay, so that thing allows a deduction for annual membership dues in the trade union as defined in any provincial statute.
That's right.
In the present case, there is no need to resort to provincial legislation because residence is not governed by the general law of the provinces. This court is often required to address provincial legislative determinations that govern transactions and relationships between parties as they relate to a taxpayer's liability under the Income Tax Act. Deemed residence under the Quebec Taxation Act does not fall into that category.
Yeah.
Finally, the appellant's position ignores well-established legal principles regarding the limited scope of deeming provisions. Subsection 595 F of the Taxation Act creates a legal fiction, deeming the appellant to be resident in Quebec for the limited purpose of determining its provincial tax liability under that statute.
Yeah.
The actual situation, namely that the appellant is factually resident in Panama, still stands for the other purposes outside of the Quebec Taxation Act.
Yeah.
I'm not sure why, but every time I see Panama, I'm like, Panama.
Just a little flourish. Just a little flourish.
I want to say it in French, like Panama.
Panama. But the point is, this is a very well-written paragraph, and it's what I would say. It's exactly how I would have said it.
Perfect.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, they don't, the taxpayer will say it's unfair, but this is just an application of the law, and it's correct as far as I can tell.
It is correct, and it is a choice by Parliament to not address the issue.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
The fact that the appellant did not earn income in Quebec also still stands. As a result, the appellant's position also ignores the remainder of Regulation 26011, which refers to the individual's actual income earned in the particular province. The Quebec deeming provision cannot be used to overcome this additional hurdle in the appellant's case.
Okay.
The immediate context.
Context, yeah.
Oh, is she going to do like internal, external?
Oh, wow. So cool. I'm
This
so
is
happy.
beautiful.
Yeah.
I think I'm sending an email to Justice Hill. Hey, like, this was a really perfectly structured judgment.
We're going to do one better, and I'll send her the link to the podcast
Yeah.
so she can watch.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. While we enjoy this this beautifully written.
So the immediate context.
Yeah.
The immediate context supports the plain meaning of the text. Regulation 2601 contains other subsections with specific criteria regarding the factual residence of individuals. Like Regulation 26011, Regulation 26012 applies to individuals who reside in a particular province on the last day of a taxation year. The difference is that this provision applies to individuals who have business income from a permanent establishment outside that particular province.
Okay.
If an individual resides in a particular province on the last day of a taxation year and has income for the taxation year from business with a permanent establishment outside a particular province, the individual's income earned in the taxation year in the particular province is the amount, if any, by which A, the individual's income for the taxation year exceeds B, the total of all amounts, each of which is an individual income for the taxation year from carrying on the business that is earned in the province other than the particular province or in a country other than Canada, determined in accordance with this part. Regulation 26013 applies to individuals who reside in Canada on the last day of a taxation year, but who do not reside in a particular province. Those individuals have income earned in the province because they carry on business in that province. Let's read it in French. Si un particulier qui réside au Canada le dernier jour d'une année d'imposition et qui exploite une entreprise dans une province au cours de l'année ne réside pas dans cette province le dernier jour de l'année, Son revenu gagné pendant l'année dans la province correspond à son revenu pour l'année provenant de l'exploitation d'une entreprise gagné dans la province et calculé conformément à la présente partie.
Okay.
Arguably, Regulation 26013 could apply to the appellant because paragraph 9438 deems it to be resident in Canada throughout the particular taxation year. However, the appellant otherwise does not meet the requirements of this provision because it did not carry on business in the province.
Right.
With Regulation 26011, 26012, and 26013, Parliament outlined 3 specific scenarios in which an individual will be considered to have income earned in the province for the purpose of Section 120 of the Income Tax Act. The appellant's argument that deemed residents under the Quebec Taxation Act meets the provincial residency requirement would undermine the proper application of these related regulations. Which I think there's even further than that, is that if Quebec could change federal legislation because it deems people to be resident, like arguably Quebec could basically deem anyone to be resident in Quebec, thus changing their taxation under federal laws.
Exactly. They could deem you to be resident in Quebec if you stepped over the border for 1 minute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could be like the deemed residence rule.
Yeah.
If you were...
Yeah, exactly.
If you visited an internet website located in Quebec, you are resident.
Imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's too much power.
Way too much power.
Yeah, that's why Parliament would not write that into a statute, and that's why that's the immediate context.
And that's why I think the only way to resolve the issue is if they negotiate together and say like, hey, what about those non-resident trusts? Like, who should tax these? Yeah. Just like international taxation, where it's an allocation problem.
Yeah, exactly, exactly.
Do we want provinces to start taxing those trusts, or do we just want the normal surtax to apply?
Right.
And the normal arrangement between the provinces to apply.
Right.
The broader context.
Here we go.
The context of the enabling provisions in the Income Tax Act also does not support the appellant's position. Regulation 26011 is found in Part 26, income earned in a province by an individual.
Okay.
Regulation 2601 confirms that Part 26 contains the prescribed rules to apply the definition of income earned in a year in a province in subsection 124 of the Income Tax Act. That provision contains definitions for all of subsection 120.
Okay.
In this section, income earned in the year in a province means amounts determined under rules prescribed for the purpose of regulations made on the recommendation of the Minister of Finance.
Okay.
The federal surtax in subsection 121 is calculated based on an amount that excludes the individual's income earned in the year in the province, while the Quebec abatement in subsection 122 is calculated based on the individual's income earned in that province. As a result, the context for the application of Regulation 26011 does not include a determination of whether an individual was liable to pay tax in the province. It does not reflect Parliament's intention that the application of these provisions should be determined by provincial taxing legislation. Parliament chose the term income earned in a province and defined it within the specific parameters of Regulation 2601.
Hard to find anything wrong with that.
For the purpose.
Here we go.
The objective of Regulation 26011 is to define income earned in the year in a province for the purpose of Section 120 of the Income Tax Act.
Yeah, okay.
Section 120 sets out the rules that integrate the federal and provincial income tax system for individuals. I'm just curious of the footnote. Oh, technical notes. I like that. The federal surtax imposes additional tax on income not earned in the province, while the Quebec abatement offers a credit with respect to income earned in that province. Relevant federal government publications outline that Parliament intended to approximate amounts, additional or reduced federal tax, with respect to income earned in or outside of province, rather than with respect to any specific determinations under provincial taxing statutes.
Okay.
The provisions are general by design. Parliament did not attempt to address the variances between provinces, either in terms of provincial tax rates or specific provincial criteria that determine determine liability.
Okay.
A. The federal surtax. The purpose of the federal surtax has been consistently stated in government publications dating back to 1982. Department of Finance technical notes describe it as an additional federal tax with respect to income that is not earned in the province. The same term used in subsection 121.
So just to be clear, do we mean when we say income not earned in a province, do they mean income earned in a foreign country, or do they mean?
No, it's either.
Are they trying to get to territory?
No, because territory is a province for the purpose
So
of
then
the Interpretation Act.
That's right.
Well, a good example of that is you're a deemed, well, in this case, you're a deemed resident.
Yeah.
So you don't actually have income in Canada. You have income outside of Canada, but you are a resident, so it's not earned in the province.
But why does the Fed care if your income was earned in the province versus not in Canada?
Because it would be beneficial for taxpayers to be resident in Canada but not earn income in the province, because they would pay only the federal portion of the tax.
Yeah.
So that would undermine the federative system of Canadian Constitution.
Okay.
And of course, democracy in Canada,
Right.
and the parliament system
Right.
of the legislature of the provinces. And also Quebec would strongly disagree.
Okay. I'm caught up.
I think that's my political
I know, I like it,
explanation
Yeah,
why
it's
is it
helpful.
there.
Yeah.
The 2000 technical notes offer additional background information. The federal surtax was introduced in 1972. Its purpose is to ensure that deemed residents and others with income not earned in the province face a total income tax burden roughly comparable to that of Canadian residents. Income considered to have been earned in Canada but not considered to be earned in the province is subject to the surtax.
Okay.
The federal surtax is calculated to approximate provincial taxes, and the percentage of additional federal tax has been periodically amended over the years. Consistent with the federal objective of approximating a combined federal and provincial income tax burden, the provisions do not take into account whether an individual has in fact paid tax in the province.
Okay, I feel like I'm learning something from this case, and that really makes me feel very happy. I really like that a lot.
I like this.
Okay. And I love the citations, like, look what's being cited here. It's not a secondary source.
It's the technical notes, so this is as close as possible to whatever Parliament intended, because of course there is probably no debates in the House.
Right, probably not.
Just because the House never debates anything regarding like, technical provisions.
Deemed red and so on, all that,
B, the Quebec abatement. The Department of Finance budget information from 1979 outlines that this special abatement is provided because Quebec opted out of direct cost-sharing programs under the federal provincial fiscal arrangements. The Quebec abatement is intended to reduce the federal income tax payable by Quebec residents and enable the Quebec government to levy a provincial income tax at higher rates. The federal government uses funds that otherwise would have been paid to Quebec under federal provincial programs to help offset the overall personal income tax burden of Quebec residents. Okay, that's interesting. So that means we pay like less federal tax, so that's why we got this abatement.
Yeah.
The Quebec abatement was 16.5% in 1979, and that percentage has not been amended in the relevant provisions of the Income Tax Act and the Federal Provincial Fiscal Arrangements Act. It is an approximation that does not take into account fluctuations in Quebec provincial income tax rates. Conclusion. Parliament used the same residency requirement as many of the provinces and territories, namely residence on the last day of a taxation year, as one of the criteria to determine whether an individual had income earned in the province for the purpose of Section 120. However, the objective was not to determine whether an individual was liable to pay tax or did in fact pay tax in the province. Instead, Parliament sought to establish general parameters for A, the federal surtax that will apply to approximate provincial and territorial tax rates across the country, and B, the Quebec abatement that would apply regardless of the provincial income tax rate in that province in any given year.
Wow.
Woo.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
Well, I think this paragraph is...
Yes.
It's like...
yeah,
it's perfect.
yeah, it's really well done.
Well, I could even use...
Ta-da. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I feel like I know way more. I feel like I learned a little bit, even though I already knew about the abatement, I knew about the surtax, I knew about these things, but I feel like this judgment just kind of lined it all up and put it all together, and it's going to come to a result that the taxpayer doesn't like.
Yeah.
I understand that it seems unfair, and maybe Parliament should fix it, but like just as a statutory interpretation,
I think it's a good example of, well, it's a bit of Duralex said Lex, like, but I mean, Parliament knew they could fix it, or they're gonna fix it. We don't know. Yeah. But this is clearly what they intended.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Conclusion paragraph is like I'm so grateful for it. I really like it.
And look at this, like Department of Finance, Government of Quebec release, budget information. Yeah.
These are the right kind of citations because you can go back and look in those citations and you're going to find the source material. The reason that we don't like secondary sources as much is because if the citation is to like a Krishna or whatever, then I got to go to Krishna and find what Krishna cited. So I just have to do one extra step. Whereas if you use the primary source, I don't have to do that extra step. It's going to be right here. Yeah.
Okay, like B. The appellant's interpretation creates jurisdictional issues. Regulation 2601 has 3 categories of how income earned in province is defined for the purpose of Section 120 of the Income Tax Act. The provisions do not depend on criteria or determinations in any provincial income tax statutes or the amount of tax a province chooses to levy in a particular taxation year. Framing the requirement in relation to where an individual resides and the type of income they earn avoids question of whether the individual has filed a provincial income tax return, has been assessed by a province, and whether the assessment is correct under the province's legislation. The federal and provincial tax liabilities remain separate jurisdictional issues. The minister's determination of whether the federal surtax should be applied does not impact a taxpayer's provincial tax liability. Provincial taxes are not assessed on the basis of the minister's determination, but under the taxing statutes of respective provinces that provide for a right of appeal to the respective provincial superior courts. The federal surtax is similarly not assessed on the basis of any provincial determination, but under the relevant provisions of the Federal Income Tax Act and regulations. This court does not have the jurisdiction to pronounce on the validity of an assessment of provincial income tax, and the validity and correctness of the federal assessment in no way hinges on the allocation of provincial tax.
Yeah, I mean, this is a federal surtax and a federal abatement. It is not Quebec, right?
Notably, these jurisdictional concerns are summarized in the 1998 Canadian Tax Foundation article relied on by the appellant.
Oops. Uh-oh. That's never good. It's never good when you're using the appellant's arguments to say your own source told you.
It's like, hey, you told me that, by the way, that doesn't help you. Oops.
Oops. Exactly. Yeah.
In describing the advent of the abatement in the 1950s, the author noted the advantages of providing a deduction in relation to federal corporate income tax rather than a credit with respect to Quebec corporate income tax. By providing a deduction relating to the federal corporate income tax instead of the provincial one, the federal law freed its administrators from the necessity of finding out what provincial taxes should have been levied and what taxes were actually paid. The deduction in the form of an abatement also did not encroach on the freedom of Quebec or any future non-agreeing province. We're going to get referred to as a non-agreeing province. Well, that's
no,
fair,
it means
fair
if there's
assessment.
some other province, not Quebec, some other, like it could be Alberta.
Yeah, but a future non-agreeing province, meaning that Quebec is now a non-agreeing
Non-agreeing province, yes. Oh.
But that's fair enough. That's fair enough. We are a non-agreeing province.
We are a bit of a non-agreeing province, yes.
To vary its taxes on corporations as it pleased. In short, the abatement allowed both the provinces and Ottawa greater flexibility than a credit would have and made life easier for taxpayers, which we want.
Yeah.
The same considerations apply as a basis to reject the appellant's argument. The federal structure respects the right of the provinces to determine how they will impose tax, using residency criteria that mirrors but does not incorporate provincial taxing legislation does not require the minister or this court to apply provincial legislation to determine whether an individual is liable to pay tax in the province. The provinces, similarly, do not have to be concerned with whether the minister has properly imposed a federal surtax according to the Federal Income Tax Act and regulations.
Okay.
Parliament chose to address this province. I will...
Yes, try again.
Parliament chose to address this problem outside of the Income Tax Act. Oh, I got it.
You're doing really well with the transitions in this one, I will say. You're doing an amazing job, including with the restart. Okay.
Yeah, but the judgment is so well written.
Yeah, it really does make life a little easier.
So easy.
It does, yeah.
The federal government is aware that the proper application of the federal surtax provisions may result in a higher tax burden for taxpayers deemed resident in Quebec. However, neither the legislation nor the regulations have been amended to address this issue. Instead, the federal government has alleviated the additional tax burden for individuals deemed resident in Quebec through 2 remission orders issued under the Financial Administration Act and the Income Tax Act.
Now, see, you get your wish. You were hoping that there was going to be some more discussion, and here it is.
I was actually not hoping to see this in the judgment. I'm really happy.
Yeah.
The first was registered on January 21st, 1983, and applied to the 1979 to 1982 taxation years. The current remission order was registered on July the 5th, 1989, and still applies today.
Okay, this is fascinating.
And you look at the title, it's Income Earned in Quebec Income Tax Remission Order.
Okay. All
the
right.
full title...
It's amazing.
I love this. The full title of the current remission order speaks for itself.
As we just read in the footnote, because
I knew I wanted.
You knew you wanted to exactly. Amazing.
Wow. I feel like I'm connected to this judge now.
Yes, I know, totally. This is amazing. Oh,
so the current title speaks for itself, indeed. Okay. Order respecting the remission of income tax in respect of certain income individuals earned in the province of Quebec. It provides relief to 3 types of taxpayers according to their residence.
Okay.
1, individuals who did not reside in Canada at any particular time in the taxation year. 2, individuals who did not reside in the province or territory on the last day of a taxation year. And 3, individuals who resided in the province of Quebec on the last day of a taxation year.
Okay.
Individuals who did not reside in the province or territory on the last day of a taxation year are granted remission of the amount by which federal income taxes paid or payable exceeds the amount that would have been payable if the individual had resided in the province of Quebec on the last day of the taxation year.
Okay.
That's
the Quebec portion, yeah.
The remission order applies to 5 categories of individuals according to the criteria similar to the deemed resident provision in subsection 251 of the Income Tax Act. It does not apply to the appellant, who is deemed resident under paragraph 94.3a.
Wow, okay.
Parliament created a solution that did not disturb the broad framework in subsection 121 in Regulation 2601. The fact that the solution does not include the appellant is not a sufficient basis for this court to improperly extend the interpretation of what it means to reside in the province on the last day of a taxation year.
Wow.
Ta-da.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Conclusion. The appellant has a sympathetic case.
Okay.
It is cut by deeming provisions and rules in Section 94 of the Income Tax Act, designed to ensure that non-resident trusts do not defer or completely avoid tax on accumulated income.
Yeah.
The province of Quebec seems to have adopted similar legislation for the same purpose. Unfortunately, those deeming provisions do not align with the federal surtax and Quebec abatement provisions in Section 120 of the Income Tax Act. The residence provision, paragraph 94.3a, was enacted in 2012, several decades after the federal surtax and Quebec abatement were introduced and several decades after the remission orders were registered. As a result, the appellant paid federal and Quebec income taxes, was assessed a federal surtax, and was denied the Quebec abatement. The specific result is unfair and arguably does not align with Parliament's general intentions for either Section 120 or Section 94 of the Income Tax Act. However, The appellant's remedy does not lie with this court. Regulation 2601(1) cannot be interpreted to answer the question of whether the appellant was resident in Quebec on the last day of a taxation year with reference to a deeming provision in the Quebec Taxation Act. The appeal is therefore dismissed. The respondent is entitled to tariff costs under the Tax Court of Canada Rules and Procedure, signed the 17th day of July 2026, Justice Joanna Hill.
Wow.
Wow. Well, once again.
Yeah. Big applause. Big applause. Yeah. Yeah, like a readable judgment, well-structured, well-organized, does a clear, straightforward statutory interpretation that I can follow, that I can learn from. I can see exactly how the analysis is laid out. If I want to disagree with the analysis, I could see where I would put pressure. I don't personally have a disagreement, but I can see, like everything
agree.
is shown. Yeah.
And I think it's a very good example for students on how to do a proper statutory interpretation.
Yeah.
Like, what is the text? What is internal context, external broader context, purpose. She uses
short, sweet, to the point.
Historical as well, even though she's not saying like this is a historical interpretation, but she uses it clearly.
Yeah.
She says this is a technical nose, this is the ways and means motions.
Yeah.
I have I've nothing to say except that I agree. Yeah. It's clear.
It's clear. Yeah. And then I think the question about whether it's fair or unfair, I think obviously what's being done here, I believe, is to leave to understand that that's not the jurisdiction of the tax court. Yeah. I don't know. Does the Federal Court of Appeal have the ability to overturn a law because it's unfair? No, I don't think so.
I think the only
like you need a court of equity, right?
Remaining, to be like, well, we don't have a court of equity, but we have remission orders. Yeah. So I think.
Yeah. So where you started?
I don't know if they have tried to do it, but I would definitely say like, hey, by the way, your remission order is older than this revision. It seems like we should fall under the remission order. Yeah. Can we have a remission order? Yeah. Did they try to get a remission order? I don't know. Right. But to me, it seems like a good case for a remission order.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's just a funny little wrinkle of like technical tax law provisions that don't fit together the way the taxpayer would like them to, or maybe even they don't fit together the way they probably should. Like we are creating a double provincial and federal taxation because of this. But I have a hard time feeling like, oh, this is unfair and an injustice has been done. But I know that's what the tax bar would say, for sure.
I think the thing that is, well, maybe there's one thing missing is that usually this trust, I believe, would pay around 50% tax, Part 1 tax.
Okay.
If it were a deemed resident of Canada outside Quebec. And now, so I believe the trust is paying something like 74 point something.
Okay, so it's really getting hammered.
It's pretty high, and this is probably higher than what was expected from even Parliament. I don't think we have a policy to tax such trusts at 75%. Yeah. It seems to me, like there's an injustice in this, an unfairness or injustice in the sense that if the contributor were a resident of Ontario, it would only pay 50% tax, but because it's a resident of Quebec, it pays 75%. Yeah. Which of course, like the provinces can tax us whatever they want. Yeah, yeah. But because the contributor is a resident of Quebec, I mean, it's hard to get out of this kind of double surtax problem.
Yeah, yeah. I hear you. I guess I'm just like naturally not that sympathetic because the taxpayer has. Whoever the taxpayer is or whoever the beneficiary is or whoever the people are here, we have a fairly sophisticated setup. Yes. That, presumably, you shouldn't be doing this without a tax lawyer. So where was your tax lawyer? Why didn't they see this coming or understand that this was going to be an issue? I don't know.
It's also weird, I think, that they just paid Part 1 tax and Quebec tax. Like, maybe they did an analysis and they thought they would win. I don't know. Or they thought that part, like, CRA would agree.
yeah.
But it's a bit like the CRA does its thing, Revenu Québec does its thing. It's like they have their own jurisdictions, their own laws.
Yeah.
You cannot just apply an equity behind them.
That's right.
Between them. Like,
yeah.
I just don't see how the trust could win.
Yeah, and I mean, taking it to court means that they thought they had a case. The taxpayer thinks they have a case, and the taxpayer always thinks they have a case, and I understand that. Like, because of this unfairness, they think there must be something wrong there. Like, there must be a way.
If I'm the fiduciary of this trust, I'm like, this is so unfair. I want to go to court because I want to tell the judge that, it cannot be right.
Yeah.
And as a lawyer, you're probably like, you're probably going to lose because it's a matter
technically,
of
the
Quebec,
text, the context, the purpose. Yeah.
Like, under federal laws, there's really nothing we can argue, and under provincial laws, there's even less we can argue.
Yeah.
I think if they go to the Court of Quebec with this case, it's even worse, because what are you going to say?
It's like, a federal law.
Like, you should not have a Quebec tax for us. I don't see how you could win.
Yeah, I don't see it. Yeah. But so that's my point, though. Like, if that's the conclusion, then why are we in court using up court resources? But it is what it is, right? That's just how it goes.
I think when you just hear about it as a tax practitioner, you're like, this is unfair.
Yeah. 100%.
It doesn't even matter. Even if you're at the government, you're going to be like, this is unfair.
Sure.
This is clearly not what was intended.
Yeah.
You look at the provisions and you're like, oh.
But that's what it's doing.
That's the outcome. Like.
Yeah. And I mean, look, if you get to the Supreme Court with that kind of situation, then Justice Rowe will tell you, that sounds like something you got to go talk to Parliament. Why are you talking to us? Yes. You got to go talk to Parliament. That's the problem is there. It's not with the interpretation. Don't forget what courts do is interpret and apply. They don't legislate.
And I think we have a problem that it's not only a matter of, okay, let's change the law. It's more a matter of go get a remission order.
Yeah.
Like, why are you not getting a remission order?
Yeah. Yeah, and we don't know, right? So we don't know enough.
We don't know. Maybe they're in the process. I don't know. I have no idea.
Who knows?
I
think we can conclude that this was one of the nicer judgments that we read. We enjoyed reading this. We were able to follow it.
Very clear.
Very clear.
Very structured.
Yeah, which we always appreciate those things. I don't know. We're an audience, and the audience likes the writer to lead us through the analysis, and Justice Hill did that.
She did that very well. I thought that just like you could kind of feel in her head, like, getting the analysis done. And of course, like, at the end, she comes to this outcome.
Yeah.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
Like, it's not like there was some outlier,
like, what the heck?
We don't know where it's coming from.
What the heck moments.
Like, no. It's like, ba, 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 ba. I think it's clear.
We loved it. More from Justice Hill. We want more.
We want more.
Give us more.
Give us more. Come on.
Give us more Justice Hill.
Okay. I have a message for the Chief Justice of the Court. Please give us give Justice Hill some cases that we're gonna want to read.
Yeah, international. Give her all the international cases because we want to read them all. Anyway, that's great. Okay.
Awesome. Well, it's not international per se. It's more like conflict of federal
this is more
Quebec.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
It's more like it's a Quebec thing, I think.
Yeah.
It's
but what I mean
conflict.
is I always get interested when there's an international case, so then I want
What was the wording? The non-agreeing?
Yes, the non-agreeing other non-agreeing provinces.
So this was a case about a non-agreeing province. Okay, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you again. We were quite effective today.
Yeah, we had visitors. Thank you for everybody that joined us on Instagram and on YouTube. We always love to see you jump into the list there. See you next time.
See you next time in 2 weeks.
In 2 weeks, yeah.
In 2 weeks. Yeah. And this was the Tax Files.
Good one. Excellent. You really like the outro.
I should have zoomed out. Or zoomed in.
Oh, I don't know. Anyway, you might want to stop your stream.
Okay, bye everyone.